All right, everybody, welcome on back here this Tuesday, March 23rd, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. I should be good to go across both ends, live inside our trading room, and for all of us joining on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube, welcome on back. We've had a bit of a wonky market so far today. We ended up seeing a bit of a dip, a pop back up, but after the S&P, the Dow, just really flatlining. Just I knew that Yellen was speaking. I knew that Powell was speaking just a moment ago. So we just finished that up. Hopefully we'll see more market activity altogether heading into the final hour of our day. The DLPN, obviously I have to begin with this. It's not the prettiest looking chart in the world, but ended up making this huge pop in pre-market. As you could see, Fausto put this on the watch list, rightfully so. I just want to comment here really quickly. So Dolphin Entertainment, the stock, DLPN. The news out on them from 9:04 Eastern time this morning. They ended up launching non-fungible tokens. The NFTs creation and marketing division expects first partnership in collectibles. So hey, you don't need to know what NFTs are in order to make money on a trade like this. All you need to know is that we've seen a lot of stocks come out with more crypto news, Bitcoin news, and now with that, more of this NFT talk. So we've been trading the TCAT, we've been trading the YVR, the OCG, right? So, with the news out on Dolphin Entertainment and pre-market this morning, we ended up seeing a monster pop. Right away. And once the market opened up, well, we saw a bit of a pullback down to 10 and then it shot up from there. Traded at your own risk from that point. I wish I could say I ended up jumping in this from 10, but I did not. I was looking for much further of a pullback down. I thought this would dump back down for quite a bit before it would make a push back up. So once I saw this shake around from 10 and then get halted on the way up briefly, I was moving on to another stock. Actually, I'll tell you what, the only trade I did take on this trade, this was just a bit earlier. I was doing this on a half-size position. I wasn't really watching this that much throughout the afternoon, at least, but it was kind of holding nicely off the highs or near, the highs, I should rather say. But I ended up jumping in. No, it wasn't there. Right here. I got in right at 1501, and I said to myself, we're going to set a stop right below 1480. I got in at 1501 and closed at 1477. Well, from there, I guess it did squeak back up a bit. But at this point, I think I'm staying away from this trade, at least certainly for now. It failed to make a move back up to the trend line off those highs. That was one thought I had in mind for a potential run on this trade. So, it failed to hit that line. It came right back down towards the bottom of this channel. And folks, if it's not breaking higher, you know the rest. So, yeah, we'll come back to Dolphin perhaps at the end, but trading over 137 million shares total across the day today, whereas this stock is normally traded an average of like less than 700K. This would be the point in the day where I'd say if it's not at the highs and running right now, it's just going to be pretty exhausted. So perhaps I'll check in with this just at the very end, the Dolphin stock, DLPN. All right, Mike here in the chat board says, Josh, our Palantir just can't get any upward traction this month. Oh, I haven't even looked at PLTR today, Mike. It's just been a wonky market. So as far as a swing trade, you would have to talk to Fausto about that. I wanted to talk about a couple of other stocks that we day traded, though, at least, from this morning. And not to say all of these ended up making incredible pops or moves. We did take advantage of the Hoth move, at least in pre-market. But as soon as the market opened up, it ended up pulling back down. And, there was a little bit of an opportunity, perhaps off 265. It ran up nicely up towards just about 310, 315. But man, the volume died off on that very quickly after. And just like I said before with Dolphin, if it's not breaking higher, there's only one other way it's going to go. Well, this is the other way it goes, right? Just came right back down, effectively, filling the gap, or a good portion of it. So yeah, this was really interesting to me in pre-market. I was very hopeful for a nice bounce back up and a pop and a run up to the pre-market highs and above that, but just didn't happen. All right, so Hoth was a better pre-market trade. The Genius stock, GNUS, we ended up putting on our morning watch list. It ended up making a pop shortly after Fausto did the meeting. And with that, well, it took a little bit, but it ended up making a nice smooth run off the 250 level after the market opened. So we ended up seeing a lot of buying on this trade. And for the most part, we covered this inside our Traders Talk workshop just earlier today for all of our students live inside our trading room. If you have yet to, if you missed that live, the recording of that that will be on the dashboard by this evening. But otherwise, 250 and 254 in particular, those were two big smart money price levels we had from the pre-market. So with that, we ended up taking our entries right from the 254 price and ran it up towards just about 280, 277. Moved up much higher later on. So broke out again during our Traders Talk workshop, ran up almost towards the iceberg order that was there at 3. It was like a 550,000 share order on the ask that was sitting there at 3. And then also, I think at like 299, even two, like two big ones. But nonetheless, right, that's our major resistance. So, it doesn't have to kiss it to act as the level. Ended up just holding underneath that price, shake back down, a lower high, and well, effectively a lower low. So yeah, genius. It's a good side list stock. I'll probably keep it in mind at some point for the remainder of this week, right? Tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, etc. But for right now, pretty exhausted, pretty slow. All right. So with that, AMC was the last stock I wanted to jump to pretty quickly here. Jeff has been making a fortune, looks like, on the AMC short. Very nice job, Jeff. Yeah, at the lows right now, right? So the way this is moving, I would assume to follow direction heading into this afternoon. Nice drop off upon the market opening up, or rather, I should say, after the squeeze. Nice drop back down from there. Rebroke below support off the opening print, 1150, and the rest is history right now, right? So, hey, the markets aren't really moving too much of anywhere, up or down. But let's just take a look on GameStop to see if this is kind of dragging AMC down with it. Not really. Interesting. Is there any specific news on AMC? Maybe like a downgrade or anything like that? Checking Benzinga Pro really quickly. Oh, and you know what? Actually, how about this? Just like last Tuesday, just because I'm popping in the office here today, I could do this. So, any news on AMC throughout our Benzinga Pro newsfeed here? Not really. A bunch of like general headlines. Microsoft said to be in discussion to acquire Discord for over 10 billion, but I don't think that relates to the big down move on AMC this morning. Yeah, there's no company specific news that I see, at least here. Benzinga Pro would be very straight to the point if there was. So nonetheless, hey, we don't need to have news in order to trade a stock. I was just curious as to why this AMC trades down over 15% already heading into this afternoon. But for right now, just follow it on the way down. You have an iceberg being tested at 1059. I would assume for there to be a major support off of 1050. And go from there. I'm sure that there's going to be a support in between 1050 and $10. Just take a quick look on a book map here quick. Yeah, so 11 was a major support level on the AMC trade, and if I'm bringing Benzinga Pro up, I'll bring this up too. So you could at least see 11 was a major support level from earlier today. Once it broke it, it ended up providing a very clean breakdown opportunity. And yeah, for right now, there's support at the 1060. There's a support at the 1050. 1035, there seems to be one for right now there too. And then from that point, our major support off the next whole number here at 10. All right, so at least AMC, I'll put on our main watch list, at this point still just, very volatile stock, volatile in a good way. It has great liquidity on the order book. So, with that, we could try and find some big iceberg orders to act as support here, and we'll see where it goes. All right, folks, what we'll do is go from top to bottom now at this point across the gainers and losers. I do not have class to teach later on today, so at least I can take my sweet time today. So let's just go right ahead. So the Dolphin we ended up talking about already, DLPN, top percent gainer. And then right away, I want to jump to YouTube. One of our members, RJF, asking if it has any potential. If you're in this trade right from this line, RJF, at 570 or shortly above, you're doing good. But we go through this every meeting here, you and I, trading way too much volume at this point in the day. It's not worth it, really. And if it ends up continuing to pop from this price, then after 3 o'clock Eastern, live inside our room, we'll look to follow up with it from there. But pumped and then dumped and then squeezed back up again here. You can't keep expecting this thing just to move on up. It's like insanity, doing the same thing over and over. It's like every meeting with that type of move there. Those rarely ever make a second big move up. The VNRX trade, I actually remember this stock. I think it was this one. Maybe it's VCNX, who knows. Looks like we had a big volume spike back in July of last year. I'm sure we traded the stock at some point, but I may have been confusing it. For right now, it's near the highs. Not bad spread right now. For the meantime, I think that we could find better opportunities here. TCAT. This thing's just a disaster. LMFA from this morning ended up making a nice push. For right now, though, dumping back down. Genius we talked about already. Just wanted to show it pretty quick, but we just talked about it. LIVX. This one we ended up calling out briefly. It was yesterday. Now we didn't put it on the main list, but it ended up making a small move in the morning. Kind of died off from there. And now this morning it ended up making a second better move on the way up, at least shortly after the open here today. But for right now, pretty flat. All right. Ooh, Peloton, what is this? I mean, obviously very expensive, but up over 5% today, making a huge pop shortly after 2 p.m. That's pretty interesting to see this on the gainers list. Give me a quick sec. My screen may have just locked up. One sec. There we go. My screen should be good to go now for all of us live. Sorry about that. So really quickly with the Peloton trade, the hell happened here? I didn't see the news, at least not until right now. So let's just check. All right, trading higher amid strengthen stay-at-home names. Okay, so maybe it's just off the AstraZeneca news, perhaps uncertainty surrounding that. I saw that news report from last night. So yeah, I guess that's just the reason. That's all. Hey, if you trade Peloton or the options on it, then go right on ahead. I mean, put this on our main watch list, given it's more of a name brand stock at the highs. Myself, I'm probably not going to trade this. A little expensive, but obviously for any of our quote unquote CTU millionaires out there, any of folks live inside our room that tend to favor the more expensive stocks, then I would definitely focus on this out of those. Then otherwise looks like the SPY is beginning to drag back down here the last 3 or 5 minutes, and with that UVXY VIX ETF, it's pushing up nicely here. So perhaps again on the same side of that, if you trade ETFs with great success, then this UVXY would be an interesting trade to try and long should the markets continue to fall off. All right, so I'll add this to our list as well. What we'll do is just hop on over to the losers list here. I have a chat from Mike regarding X. Want to take a look at that, see if it's making a volatile good move for us to try and trade. FREQ. Geez, this is like a deja vu all over again, right? Not with this stock, but I think it was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. What was it? The ODT? I don't know what happened here. I don't remember at least, but this stock was down 80% heading into the afternoon. It actually provided as a decent short opportunity, or it tried to heading into the early afternoon here, but from there flattened out and since just dropped off even more. I'm just relating this because this FREQ is down 77+%. It's right at the lows of the day right now. It's shortable should this continue to tank and break lower. Has great liquidity on the order book. Man, between this, the ODT, and then the other one too, the RLX. RLX was down big yesterday also off of news, and that made a nice drop. So yeah, FREQ, I don't mind re-adding to our list here. I didn't really trade that from the morning. I was a little occupied on the Genius trade and the AMC trade. But otherwise, yeah, hopefully that FREQ holds direction heading into the afternoon, continues to break lower. Let's take a quick look here, actually, just to see if this is, my assumption would be yes, but yeah, I guess this is an IPO back from October of 19. So at that all-time lows, much like the RLX trade from yesterday. Pretty interesting. Annex here, ANIX. This was breaking lower heading into the afternoon. Squeaked back up, and ever since just pretty slow and flat here now. All right, bunch of stuff hard to borrow. Otherwise, they're not down a whole lot for me to think about as far as a long, maybe HOFV Hall of Fame. Looks like this is just still dropping though here in the meantime. This is great side list stock. I'm sure we'll focus more on it tomorrow, if not tomorrow, perhaps Thursday. Just given the range to see a stock go from like 275 up to over 5 and then back down 550 matter for that part. But yeah, just great side list stock with the range. But for this afternoon, it just still seems like it wants to keep breaking lower. Can't short it. This one's slow. Kirk, just really flat at the low of the day right there. The AMC trade, I mean, hey, we already spoke about it, but it just goes to show as I've been going from top to bottom, we're not going to find much better thus far than the AMC. And perhaps, aside from that, like I said before, the FREQ, maybe DLPN, we'll jump to that and again in just a moment. That's all I got, though, folks. I don't really see much else across the gainers or losers list as far as a familiar name or something that's making a big move as we speak. So let me know if there's anything else that you see otherwise. Kevin's calling out the BNTC trade, still pushing. RJ, you're doing better on this trade here at this point. I just still feel as if this stock trading this much volume across the whole day, is it going to continue to break and pop? We've seen much more often than not the answer for that to be no. So that's where I say be careful, because if it's not going to keep going up, I don't think it's going to just flatten out and do next to nothing the rest of the day. So let's hope this keeps going. I'll put this on our watch list now at this next push up here. But again, just be mindful of a false break and a dump back down. You don't want to get caught catching the falling knife, because I've heard that from some students just over the last month or so, where they ended up jumping into a trade like this in the afternoon, and then it goes the complete other way, and then they get their ass kicked. So please don't let that happen. Be very mindful of a false move here. And Ken asking about the can trade. Let's take a look. Not a whole lot to write home about here, Ken. If you did well on this trade from earlier, I am certain that you'll be following this trade for the afternoon. It's a great side list stock. Ooh, X is down big. It's at the low of the day. So I want to take a look here at Michael's post. He said Argus Research downgraded the previous rating that they had on X from buy to hold. So nonetheless, I don't know if that's just that, but perhaps with this at the lows right now heading into the afternoon, it's definitely worth watching. It's moving with the market, perhaps you could say as well. Yeah, I mean, hey, aside from my personal bias towards X, right? Even outside of that, I love trading US Steel. Outside of that, this shows great direction at the lows, a major support level, likely off of 20. All right, folks, I think that just about does it. RJF says you said that about 70 cents ago. That's true. That is very true. But we'll see where it goes from here. Because otherwise, for the amount of times we see stocks that are up 100%, 70%, they dump back down. They rarely make a big breakout heading into this market close. So that's where I say just be very safe, or careful rather, for a stock like this, because if it's not going to continue to break out, it's just going to keep dropping at some point. So all right, folks, I think aside from that, though, we're just about done here. We have about 2, 4, 5 stocks to work with. One of those is Peloton, so pretty expensive. So really, I'd say 4 stocks within our price range to work with heading into this afternoon. And let's keep this BNTC trade going, perhaps. I'd love to see this break higher. I'd love to be wrong. So, hey, it looks like this thing is about to get halted even right now. How about that? This thing's about to get halted. Not just yet. The HFTs were coming in fast there. It's at 778. My screen's starting to lock up here, actually, believe it or not. Little pullback. Be careful here. It was just about to get halted at 778. The HFTs were coming in there fast, and they ended up preventing it at the time from getting halted. So hopefully this will keep pushing here. All right, folks. So aside from that, I'll be back on the mic at 3:30 myself, heading into the final half hour of the day. I know that Rich will be on heading into 3 o'clock. Talk to you soon.